Hello and welcome to Grid Live Pre-Race. We invite you to comment and participate in the special chat room, and a special hello to all the listeners on Ultimate Sports Radio Network. With me today at Full House, Kobe Lambis from the Podium Finish, Adam Lemeries, Ben Schneider, Joshua Birch, and Edward Hunter from Formula E Zone. Thank you for joining us today, and we thank everyone for joining us today for this jam-packed program with a lot of racing to cover. We're going to get started with Indianapolis Motor Speedway, second year in a row, doubleheader with NTT IndyCar Series. Definitely, I know when it comes to IndyCar is going to be a very exciting weekend of racing at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Of course, the road course has plenty of room to pass, plenty of runoff, and for the second year in a row, it's going to be hosting IndyCar and NASCAR. The track has seen only 5 different winners in the 10 past races. This is the 11th time IndyCar is running here. And the interesting part, all the winners have won a championship except Rhinus BK, this year's winner back in May. Ben, starting with you, who has the best chance of winning today's race, especially when it comes to the championship contenders? Are we looking at Alex Palou, Scott Dixon, O'Ward, Newgarden, or Ericsson?
Yeah, well, if last week at Nashville taught us anything, with Ericsson looking like his race was over and his car destroyed, and then he, ends up not having a lot of damage from that crash, ends up finding a way to win the race. That shows that IndyCar, is such a competitive series where anything can happen. And, you look at the strength of the field today, you've got 28 cars and 28 drivers and not hardly any back markers, drivers that you would, kind of expect to be behind the 8 ball. I think it's going to be a very competitive race, but if I had to give a pick for the win, Pato O'Ward has had a very strong year, still very much of a championship fight, and he's sitting on pole position for today's race. So it makes it difficult to overlook him. I'd say if I'm leaning towards anybody right now, it's got to be the Aero McLaren SP driver.
For me, taking a look at the practice standings, Marcus Ericsson was fastest. And he's got a lot of momentum after coming through with his second career victory in Nashville. So I'm going to have to say Marcus Ericsson is going to be a good solid pick today. But, with any one of those top 5 drivers has a really good shot to win, especially the poles that are Pato O'Ward. It should be interesting to see how they all go into turn 1, and I'm hoping for a very safe and clean race on the road course at Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Well, Marcus Ericsson went to Infinity and Beyond a week ago, starts 11th for the race here today as well. It's a circuit you can overtake at as well, but it's mainly a strategy game ahead of us. Earlier on in the year, we saw Venus VK take victory in the first race on the road course, but Will Power won at the similar time last year when we ran the Harvest Grand Prix, and he starts second. So does Will Power have the power to win? I think he does, because I think he's going to get it well ahead of Pato O'Ward. Powell had the inside line to turn 1, and we know, especially from last weekend, he's not afraid to punt anybody off the track. Ask his teammates Joseph Newgarden and Simon Pagenaud.
And Pato O'Ward took pole for today's race. Alex Palou starting 6th, and everyone else inside the top 10. One driver that has to be excited about returning to his track is Romain Grosjean. Last time here, he led most of the race, but lost out to Rinus VK in the second half of the event. Adam, do you see Romain Grosjean potentially winning today and increasing his stock to land a top-tier ride in 2022?
I sure do. He's gonna, and I'm surprised Romain Grosjean hasn't won this year. And if he were to win today, his stock would increase a lot. And a team that I believe it has been reported he's looking at Andretti Autosport next year. If he goes there, that's really good. That's really good ownership to have, especially with former driver Michael Andretti there. I think he would do really well at Andretti Autosport, and hopefully in 2022.
I certainly see Romain Grosjean as a contender winning today's IndyCar race at the IMS road course. And the big surprise in qualifying this weekend has to be the Formula 2 driver, Kristen Lundgaard, starting fourth on the second row. The 20-year-old from Denmark drives for ART Grand Prix in FIA Formula 2, and he's also a member of the Alpine Young Driver Academy, and he'll be making his IndyCar debut in just a little while. We also have Alexander Albon at the racetrack this weekend watching and maybe thinking about his racing future as well. And the word on the street, Andretti Autosport looking at signing Roman Grosjean in 2022 and potentially becoming a Honda factory driver. Last weekend, James Hinchcliffe got a podium, Ryan Hunter-Reay in the top 5. Alexander Rossi ran up front until making contact with Pato O'Ward, and Colton Herta led most of the race. Had that unfortunate smash in the closing stages of the Music City Grand Prix in Nashville. He's now 135 points away from Alex Palou. In your opinion, is Colton Herta in a must-win situation for the championship, or is it already too late for him?
Definitely, I think it's already too late. He tried his best at Nashville. He was pushing hard throughout the race. He had quite controversial qualifying strategies as well that shocked up people when he was dominant as well. The race as well, that pit stop where he almost did a Lucas de Grassi of getting the lead while the safety car was negotiating the turn 1 incident. I think it's pretty much clear with, as you say, 135 points away from Palou. With 4 races left, it's a very tall order. And to be honest with you, I don't think Herta has got what it takes to claw that type of point scoring back, considering in front of him. There's a load of more drivers that I would say are more capable. I think it's a 3-way fight between Palou, Dixon, and O'Ward personally. So no, Herta, I think he's now just out there to try and have a good end to the season.
I have to agree with you, Josh. Colton had a strong race in Nashville. Unfortunately, he wrecked, fighting for the win. But I believe right now it's the top 3 are gonna overall are the 3 championship contenders. Colton Herta has had a really strong season, but I think he'll just go out for wins and points and look forward to the 2022 season.
And after today, we have 4 races remaining in the IndyCar season: the Oval at Gateway, and then the IndyCar's version of the West Coast Swing, Portland, Laguna Seca, and Long Beach. The top 20 are still mathematically eligible for the championship. That window will close quickly for many that need to have perfect weekends. One driver, Alexander Rossi, 12th in points, 196 behind Alex Palou, starting 10th today. He needs to start winning, and Palou needs to have some bad luck. Does Alexander Rossi revive his championship hopes today, or just like Colton Herta, is it a little too late for him?
Well, Rossi, I think, is even a lot further back than Herta is. So, if we're saying it's over for Herta, it's been over for Alexander Rossi. And it's been an incredibly disappointing season for him. People were saying last season was a down year for him. He still had 4 podiums in the last 5 races. Looked like he was on course to maybe go out and win the season finale at St. Pete before he crashed out from the lead. So, if you're Rossi, I think this race today is an opportunity. The rest of the races in 2021 are an opportunity for you to just go out, go for broke, and try to steal a win here or there. Maybe use that as momentum to carry you into 2022. But in terms of the championship, he may still be mathematically eligible, but he's going to have to win every single race. And Palou and Dixon O'Ward, they're going to have to DNF pretty much every single race. I think when you look at the standings, which we have on screen now, Josh, like you were saying, it's pretty much a 3-way battle. You could maybe see somebody like Newgarden or Ericsson get in there if the leaders have some bad luck. Everybody from Ray Hall on back, I think it's going to take an absolute miracle for them to win the championship. So I think, you could maybe extend it to a 5-way battle. But, for guys like Rossi, I think at this point, you just have to kind of go for the win, and it's championship over.
I have to agree with you, Ben. I believe Alexander Rossi championship is done. 2020 this year has been, if you want to say last year was a down year, this year is, but I think even worse a year. Alexander Rossi is a really talented driver. Have a lot of respect for him, but like I just said, I believe the championship will go down to Pato O'Ward, Scott Dixon, and I believe it'll be a 3-way fight all the way going to the season finale.
And we definitely encourage everyone watching to tell us who they think will win today's IndyCar race. If you're outside the top 10 and pick a winner, the first correct guess is double points. So comment with your picks below in the chat box. Now it's time for the series that is the hardest to pick a winner, the ABBFI Formula E World Championship. We're one race away from crowning their very first world champion. Here's Ben, Josh, and Joe leading the conversation about the Berlin E-Prix.
Berlin E-Prix first race is in the books, and it was a very exciting race. Josh and Edward with me to discuss the Formula E race, and of course the first world champion in Formula E will be crowned. We came in with 18 drivers eligible for the championship, only 14 left, and out of those remaining at the Tempelhof Airport, site of last year's 6 rounds Formula E Fest. I want to give a big shout out to Jack at Formula E Zone. I know he's over there at Berlin covering the race. Edward, you've been helping him out with all the videos. We encourage everyone to subscribe to Formula E Zone. And this is the most unpredictable championship out of the 7 Series in the grid ranking. Lucas Di Grassi taking the win over Eduardo Montara and Mitch Evans. Nick DeVries still the points lead, but only 3 points ahead of Montara. Starting with you, Josh. Lucas Di Grassi and Audi, are they serious contenders for this championship coming into tomorrow's race? And because especially both drivers still have a shot at the championship, it appears.
Second win of the year for Lucas Di Grassi. Technically, you could say it's his second in a row because he crossed the line first in London, then got black flags. So Audi definitely have the pace to lead the racing. Me and Ed were in the commentary screaming, I think, at the last line because it was side by side. So a great end. It proves that this championship is going to be down to the wire, absolutely dramatic. Definitely, I think, as you say, we've got 13 or 14 cars in contention tomorrow going in for the championship. De Vries leads on 95 points. He was pointless today. Di Grassi's moved right back up there. He's now on 87 points. He's got Rene Rast in 12th. He's on 75. So all it takes is a strong qualifying performance. And as me and Ed were discussing today, timing your attack mode. You only get one now lasting for 8 minutes. And that's where I think, personally, Techeetah failed today. They got compromised by the safety car. They went for their attack mode after the safety car. They were low on battery power. They went for it too late as well. So that kind of compromised them in their strategy because they had to fight the way through out of field, whereas if they had it at the front, it would have really been overtaking the two Venturas. So, yeah, I think Audi need another good, strong day tomorrow. I definitely don't think they're not going to win. I don't think Di Grassi is going to win the race. Personally, I can see BMW. But I think Di Grassi, if he wants a strong go for the title, good qualifying, and a very, very strong opportunistic attack mode would be crucial.
Yeah, absolutely, Josh. That is going to be the key thing, isn't it? Where you qualify and when you use attack mode. And the interesting thing was with Audi, since we're talking about them, is that they played the team game, didn't they? Rene Rast went for attack mode really early in the race and was able to basically get up the order. In fact, led it, go in front of Di Grassi for a brief time, but they were able to basically get in and amongst the Techeetahs, and it really felt like you say, Josh, the DS Techeetah team couldn't use the attack mode under the safety car, which would have been the ideal time for them to use it. Leading the race, they just about built like a big enough gap, and then it all got taken away from them. And then when they eventually did have to use attack mode, they found themselves mired in the midfield pack, and Jake Dennis rudely brushing Antonio Felix da Costa aside, but just about getting through into fifth place in the end. So yeah, it was very good teamwork by Audi, but they certainly had the better pace throughout the race. And Lucas Di Grassi really, once he got ahead of Mortara, it was a case of just holding off Ido at the very end there. Very crazy finish, but it sets up the championship very nicely.
That set up for the championship very nicely. I know it's been one of those races where this season has been something else. As I mentioned, 14 eligible, but realistically, the top 12 have a shot at that championship. Top 12 separated by 20 points, of course, 30 points the max. If you go out there, pole, fastest lap in qualifying, lead the most, everything, 30 points. But Nick De Vries today, outside the points, had to go in pit lane after a punctured tire. Do you feel Nick De Vries is still the favorite entering this race tomorrow?
De Vries, he's sort of looked into the lead of the championship, in my opinion. He started off very strong, winning Diriyah, winning Valencia 1, 2 podiums, of course, in London with 2 seconds. But he had a shocker in New York City and a shocker in the second race of Valencia, and retired twice in Rome and DNFs as well, Puebla. Nick De Vries' season looks very much like a roller coaster when you compare it, up, down, everywhere. So he's a very quick driver. He's a very good driver. He is a Formula 2 champion, but I don't think it's mistakes like this today as well. The puncture he's had previous errors as well. He needs a strong qualifying in order to try and get the championship advantage. So no, I don't think I don't think De Vries is going to be up there. I think he'll be dealt with very quickly by the likes of Mortara, Dennis Evans, a lot more faster drivers who have had more time in Formula E than poor De Vries has. Ed, what about you?
I think we've got about 7 favourites because the top 7 are separated by about 9 points, I think, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure that's right. Yeah, it's very close. And I don't know, the person I've been most impressed by of all the drivers is actually young Jake Dennis, the 26-year-old from Nuneaton in Warwickshire, for BMW Andretti in what is going to be BMW's last race with the team and in the sport, presumably in Formula E. He was able to get up to 5th, just behind Mitch Evans, who I thought was also very impressive today. And in fact, Evans, I'd probably say, put on some brilliant moves in the other Jaguar. Although what happened to his teammate, unfortunately, left him well down the standings. And Sam Bird certainly didn't have the race he would have hoped to today. And in fact, I was just listening to an interview about what happened to Sam Bird. And basically, he didn't want to speculate, but basically he had hit from behind and everything just shut down. So there was definitely some kind of technical failure, perhaps brought on by some damage, but he was in a big battle with Maximilian Günther for just outside the points. And it looked like the Jaguar did have great pace, so a missed opportunity for Sam Bird, unfortunately, but Mitch Evans taking full advantage.
Mitch Evans taking full advantage. Sam Bird, the teammate, 14 points behind. And one of the big things, he is going to be in Group 2 of qualifying. All year long, that's been the talk. Group 1, you're just not going to have that great of a lap. We're doing the same track, but the reverse direction. When it comes to this track, starting with you, Ed, Sam Bird and the other drivers in Group 2, will they have the upper hand with qualifying and then that race tomorrow?
I'm not so sure, because we saw today that they didn't. What happened last year during the 6th race Berlin Festival that we talked about, that they last year they cleaned the track in between free practice and qualifying, and that led to basically the track rubbering in as the groups went in. So you didn't really want to be in the first group because you had a big disadvantage. And what they did this time, they didn't do that. So the track was still had the rubber on it from free practice 2. And so we saw a mix of different drivers from different groups making it into Superpole. We saw both Venturis, both Techeetahs, and in the end, both Techeetahs did drop down in the race, as I said, for the attack mode reason. But as for the reverse layout, again, it's a different kettle of fish entirely. And I think they're still doing. I think because they was having to reset the track track workers have got 15 hours basically between the end of race 1, the beginning of free practice for race 2, to sort of hurriedly put everything in the right position so they can make the reverse layout work. So how much rubber is going to be effective? It really depends if they clean it in between free practice 2 and quali. But I do think Sam Bird will have a better time because he's at least got data from today's race that he can use, if not from himself, then at least from his teammate, to improve his performance and make sure he makes the right decisions, on track in the finale. And you never know. I think, like I say, Sam Bird, he is 14 points down, but still got a pretty decent chance, one of his better chances in his Formula E career. So I do think he could still qualify well in Group 2, but I think it's the Group 3 runners, statistically, which tend to be the best. So we've got to watch out for those too.
I mean, for the Group 2 runners, this morning we had Vernon Mortara go through out of the 6, but then everybody else in that session dropped down. Evans died 7th, Verline 9th, Rast and Cassidy were 13th and 14th. So Group 2 very much is more of a lottery of where to go in terms of qualifying. But as Ed said, the grip would remain the same. But also, as I just worked out, that means that the little rubber bits, I can't remember the actual name of the
marbles.
Thank you, Ed. Yeah, the marbles are going to be on the exit of the corner now. it's going to be on the racing line. So they're going to have to deal with those quite quickly. And I think that's why they've given them 2 more practice sessions tomorrow morning. They've got another free practice 1, free practice 2 in order to get the track exactly as they want it. So it's not going to be like a usual double header where it's free practice 3 and then we're straight into qualifying. There's practice 1, that's 45 minutes. Then 25 minutes after that, we're in for free practice 2. An hour later, we're in for qualifying, and then the race at the usual time. So I like the idea that we've got in reverse. It gives us something different. It gives us something to hype up about for the championship. It's going to give me a headache in terms of knowing the track layout, which we've just mastered for this weekend, and I'm going to change it tomorrow. And I think it's also going to play up with the drivers because, yes, some of them have raced on it before. We had the reverse races in that Berlin festival last year. But I think the drivers who will suit best are the ones who can adapt. Sam Bird is one of those drivers who can adapt quite quickly. Jake Dennis is another. We've seen DeFries struggle with change. So I don't think he's going to be in that position. I think he's going to run down in Group 2 tomorrow. I'm not sure. No, he runs Group 1, doesn't he? Yeah, Championship leader, Group 1. So DaCosta, Bird, Vern, Lynn, Cassidy, Rast running in Group 2 tomorrow. They are going to be ones to watch. And whoever manages to get into Super Pole, they're going to be the best shot for the title because there'll be an outside lucky dip, like literally just rip off a ticket at the meat counter, wait for your number, then you can go out for your lap. But as
I think that reference might be slightly lost on our American viewers.
Sadly, yeah. Ed, I think we mentioned actually in the commentary as well that there's a lot of risk for contact tomorrow in not only the race but in qualifying as well, because we saw last year in the reverse quali, not many drivers made it to the line. They mistimed it because they thought the lap times would be the same. They mistimed it by about 10 seconds, didn't they, if you can remember?
Yeah, there was a big Group 1 kerfuffle with all the Group 1 runners, and they ended up holding each other up and trying to fight each other on that outlap, and some of them missed the cut. In fact, I think only one of them may have made it, actually, if our memory serves. So that was also not helped by the fact, like I mentioned, with different group conditions, and if the track isn't swept from free practice, then maybe that might avoid that scenario, because it certainly avoided it in today's qualifying. But yeah, like you said, there is just going to be an element of getting the lap in and then managing the race and using attack mode at the right point. And with so many drivers in contention, you can't just afford to let a few points go here and there. Everyone is fighting for every little point they can get, and that's the way it should be, really. You shouldn't have there was a lot of talk going in about people playing the system of making sure I drop down to Group 2 or 3 so that I can get in the best group position for the final race and get the points I need. But there's not really been any of that. Everyone's been just, well, we'll see where I finish in the race and then I'll get the best result in the next, no matter where I qualify. That's been the attitude from most of the drivers, and I think that's good to see, because we did see murmurings and rumours. Oliver Rowland tried it earlier in the season. It backfired horribly because he got into Group 2 and it rained.
Yeah.
and it was exactly the wrong group to be in, but as it happened. But yeah. So yeah, I think lots to look forward to tomorrow for you and me, Josh. Like you say, the minor headache of the reverse layout, but I'm sure we'll pick it up quick. We always do.
The tensions tomorrow are going to be so high. Mistakes are going to be palpable. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. In fact, I'm going to go on record, live on YouTube, Twitch, everything else, radio. Tomorrow could be the greatest championship decider in history.
I think one of the big things I'm anticipating is safety cars in this race. I mean, I think it's going to be all out. Formula E has been known to be so physical at times. I mean, sometimes just as physical as NASCAR Cup Series. And we definitely encourage everyone, if watching, be sure to share who you think is going to win the Formula E race tomorrow. Comment, definitely see you could get on the leaderboard. We have a lot of racing of Formula E tomorrow for the championship. And of course, as I mentioned, NASCAR, they're going to be at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but not for the Brickyard 400, but instead a new race at the Indianapolis Road Course, the Verizon 200. Here is Kobe, Adam, and Ben.
The NASCAR Cup Series Verizon 200 at the Brickyard, qualifying Sunday morning, and the race later in the day. This is the last road course race of the regular season. Kyle Larson or Chase Elliott have won all but one road course race, with Christopher Bell winning at the Daytona road course. Do you believe the additional road course races have done much to shake up the season?
I believe so. A lot of fans have liked it because a lot of fans have asked for more road courses, so it has been a shakeup of the season. It should be interesting to see, how the race progresses tomorrow, especially with qualifying being in the morning and then racing in the afternoon. First time that the Cup Series has raced there. The Xfinity Series has raced there, so you could, when it comes to predictions, you could have the regular road course people like Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, having a shot to win. But there could be a surprise winner tomorrow. We're going to do our pick a winner at the end, but I'm not going to say now who I'm picking. So you'll have to wait later on in the show to see who I've got.
Well, I think it's certainly gotten people talking. All the chatter on Twitter this weekend has been people, I think, finally coming to the realization that the Brickyard 400 as we know it is no more. And, I think people have the nostalgia factor kicking in for them. But at the same time, I think when you look at where the Brickyard 400 was in 1994 and 1995, when it was just getting started, when it was still this huge, massive event with so much hype surrounding it, to the turning point in 2008 with the whole tire situation with Goodyear, and people were saying, what would NASCAR Twitter, how would they have reacted to that? I don't know. That race had so many restarts that maybe it would have been the perfect race for NASCAR fans today. At least the 8 out of 10 that I hear like stage racing. All the restarts. You couldn't have asked for a better race. But I think when you look at the Brickyard 400 in particular, the race kind of did lose its luster. It was time for something to change, something to bring the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and NASCAR's relationship back up where it belongs. And this is certainly an attempt at doing something different. So, I want to see how it plays out today. I thought the Xfinity race on the road course last year was very good. So we'll see how it goes today. But in terms of looking at the schedule as a whole, you haven't seen as much diversity as you might expect. You'd see some surprise winners in the road courses. It's mostly been the Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott show, and we know those two with Hendrick are threats to win on any given race weekend. Christopher Bell did get the win at the Daytona road course, but you can argue Chase Elliott should have gotten the win if they hadn't thrown the caution for the non-existent pop-up rain shower. So I think when you look at what's going on with road courses right now, it is kind of fun. We do almost have road course ringers again with Austin Cindric, AJ Allmendinger running part-time. But I think in NASCAR, when you look at how popular the road course races have been in recent years, you certainly need more than 2 on the schedule. Now, I don't know, expanding it to 6 or 7, maybe. I don't know that we need to go beyond that any further. But when you look at the popularity of the road courses compared to the mile and a half, which we certainly had plenty of on the schedule the last decade or so in particular, I think NASCAR has done a good thing trying to listen to its fan base, give them some more road courses to watch, and go to tracks that maybe like Indianapolis, like Daytona, have a road course on the infield, a different layout that we could use if we have to go to the same venue more than once a year. So I think I've got to give NASCAR a lot of credit for trying something different. But in terms of how this race is going to go today, I want to wait to see how it plays out this weekend before I give my final judgment.
And some breaking news from the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Michael Annett, unfortunately, is not able to go for today's Xfinity race. So the road course king himself, Chase Elliott, is going to be in that number 1 Chevrolet. So the NASCAR Xfinity Series regulars going to have to watch out, because I'm sure they did not expect to see Chase Elliott hopping down in the Xfinity Series. So AJ Allmendinger, Austin Cindric, Ty Gibbs, you're going to have a little bit more competition if you want to go out there and win the race. And moving back to the Cup Series, one shakeup from Watkins Glen that could materialize into something more significant is Christopher Bell versus Kyle Larson, the 2 stars also on the dirt. Larson spun Bell out, and Bell isn't interested in talking to Larson right now. Both have raced each other on dirt all over the country for years now and have shown mutual respect. Are you surprised that Bell refused to chat with Larson initially? Do you think he should have responded?
Yeah, well, beyond just the fact that Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson aren't exactly the 2 drivers that I would expect to get into a kind of grudge like that where they're not even on speaking terms. there is a mutual respect between the two of them, given their racing history on dirt. And, I think if Christopher Bell really wanted to do the right thing here, if you look at the incident, I say like 9 times out of 10, I feel like the car on the inside is the one that's more at fault there. But Bell really, Larson was all the way up on the curb, didn't give him so much room going into the corner. I think that one really you just have to chalk up as a racing incident more than anything else. So if he really took a look at the incident objectively, I would have liked to have seen him at least reach out to Larson and have them talk about the situation a little bit. Instead of not even being on speaking terms with each other. But it was kind of surprising for me to see those two in particular. They're not exactly the ones that I would expect to be in some sort of conflict or argument like that. So it'll be interesting to follow. We'll see where it goes. Like I said, Christopher Bell's the only non-Hendrick driver to win on a road course this season. He was running strong at Watkins Glen last week. So maybe we'll see a new chapter in the rivalry develop tomorrow.
I have to agree with you, Ben. Really surprised that we truly really haven't had a rivalry in NASCAR for a long time. So maybe this is one that started at Watkins Glen. Should be interesting to see down the road how for me it should be interesting to see down the road how this rivalry intensifies or maybe dies down. But two people who have a lot of success in NASCAR and also on the dirt. So if Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson are on racing on the dirt, you don't think there could be some rivalry implications there? Should be interesting to see throughout the rest of the year how these two drivers interact with each other on the track and off the track.
And while we're talking about Kyle Larson, ironically, as we have 20 minutes remaining in practice, he's the fastest right now on IMS road course. And for all the viewers unaware of what Kyle Larson's been up to this week, he's pulling double duty, traveling back and forth between Indianapolis and Knoxville, Iowa, because he's running in Knoxville Nationals in the sprint car. And after today's session, Kyle Larson plans to fly back to Knoxville for the events at Knoxville. So Kyle Larson's definitely been busy. I'm sure he's short on sleep, but still hops in that number 5 Chevrolet every week, and he's ready to go. Doesn't look like he's been busy doing anything else. And tomorrow we'll have stages as usual, so we'll likely see similar strategies like we saw at Watkins Glen last week. Pit before the end of the stage and gain track position. Does it put less pressure on getting a top starting position, or do we anticipate a wild race or another race with little to no cautions besides the stage breaks?
I think it'll be a wild race tomorrow because it'll be the first time that the Cup Series has raced on the road course at IMS. Even though some of the drivers have experience running there in the Xfinity race, I expect to see a lot of craziness. Because overall, I think the Hendrick drivers, Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson, will be the overall drivers to beat tomorrow. But like you've heard me say in the past, anything can happen, will happen in NASCAR. So it should be interesting to see how everything happens tomorrow at the IMS road course.
Yeah, I don't want to repeat myself too much. You can just go back and watch last week's show for my general thoughts on stage racing on road courses. And, they certainly haven't changed in the last week. I'm not a fan of it. I don't think, it's done anything to benefit the racing. If anything, it's hindered the quality of the race because, you see a mix of strategies between guys who need to go for stage points. And so they don't pit before the caution, but guys who are just going for a win, and particularly today, guys who maybe need a win to get into the playoffs because they're too far back on points. You might see them short pit before the stage ends because they know when a caution is coming and they know that it's going to set them up to be in one of the front rows on the restart. So, I think stage racing on the road courses, like I've said, it's not something I'm a fan of. It does give you a little bit of an option for strategy if you're starting towards the back. but I don't know. I don't really want to keep going on this one because, people know where I stand on it, and it's just not something I'm a fan of.
And for Pick a Winner, please be sure to share your picks with us down in the chat below at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, qualified on CNBC Sunday morning, and later on the day, 1 p.m. Eastern. Yes, I said that, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Finally, an early race start for the NASCAR Cup Series. The green flag is going to drop on NBC. And the other race tomorrow we haven't talked about is MotoGP. Here's Joe and Josh to preview the Austrian Grand Prix.
MotoGP is back in Austria for the Austrian Grand Prix. One notable exception, of course, is Maverick Vinales and the second Yamaha team. They are not there. He was suspended for riding in a man that risked his bike engine, and other riders' safety view shows him revving the engine up to the rev limiter twice, not participating in that last lap too. Each side is claiming some fault on the other one. As of yesterday, we know there's been some update, but Josh, when it comes to the situation at Yamaha and Vinales, has it become so toxic? And could this distract his teammate Quartararo and his championship pursuit?
I think it's been affecting the Yamaha team for quite a while. I mean, there was rumors circulating on the Friday when we were at Assen that Vinales was going to leave at the end of the season and go off to Aprilia. Now, that caught everybody by surprise. And then the biggest surprise of all was the fact that it was not only announced, but it was announced by Maverick Vinales' manager, not through any of the Yamaha team. And then Yamaha had to scramble dramatically in order to put a press release out saying, yes, he's going. We've come to a mutual understanding, blah, blah, all the numerous stuff you've got to get through so that it looks legal. However, I don't think Yamaha were at all pleased with that, and they've been chomping at Maverick's side ever since. And over the summer break, I understand there's been numerous calls as well between the two, and discussions as are you going to complete the whole season? Are you going before that? And it's very odd for a rider who started the year with victory at the Qatar Grand Prix, and they've been constantly strong all season long. And ever since then, Vinales sort of, we've seen him do it before as well across the junior categories. He's thrown a hissy fit. That's exactly what he's done. For American viewers, that means he's had a paddy. I might be Anglo-Saxonizing quite a lot of that, but he's basically gone crying in the corner. And I think Styria last weekend at the Red Bull Ring was the explosion of a 2-year-old toddler. First of all, the first start before the red flag, he had a poor getaway and then had a couple of positions overtaking. The red flag came out. It was original grid positions. He wasn't happy about that either. Then he went to the grid, stalled the bike on the parade lap. And then me and Megan were standing in the commentary box thinking to ourselves, what on earth he's doing? Because he went out of the pit lane and went up to the exit of turn 1. And that wasn't, and he went onto the racetrack as well. So Vinales joined the racetrack because he thought, I can leave the pit lane. I'll go start up at the back. And then he had to reverse down the pit lane, go at the exit. He was already going to get a black flag for that anyway. So he was already under investigation because he should have stopped at the exit pit lane. Yamaha were taking their eye off the ball of Quartararo and trying to calm Vinales down all last weekend. So what I understand is Quartararo was not getting information that he was needed to on the dashboard with the messaging system, and there was errors in his pit board as well. So Yamaha were completely having to settle the 2-year-old toddler that's crying in the corner. Maverick then had a ride-through penalty, got sent right to the back of the field, and then he just had enough, and he was revving the engine like mad on the last 2 laps. He was deliberately trying to blow the engine up. You know as well as I do, Joe, as well, the fact that you don't over-rev a motorcycle, especially the M1, because it does have a tendency to break. Do you remember Rossi accidentally was overusing a Yamaha a couple of years ago at Mugello? The same thing happened. So Vinales deliberately tried to blow the motorcycle up. They would have put oil onto the track. We've seen what type of a dangerous circuit Austria is, as well at the Red Bull Ring. We've had 3 races and 3 red flags in a row. So already that's a sackable offence. That's a black flag offence. For me, that's a goodbye, you are banned forever offence for trying to deliberately retire and deliberately put things onto the track. He's then come out in the week and Yamaha noticed the data and said, You've done that deliberately. So midweek, he was suspended on Thursday. It was the news broke that he was be suspended for 2 races. So that's this weekend in the Red Bull Ring and the following race at Silverstone. And then after that, don't know where you're going to go next. It's San Marino. So from what I understand is it has left Yamaha completely in a mess. And it's definitely going to affect the championship challenge for Quartararo because his side of the garage now been sort of segregated and isolated and it's damage control to try and keep their heads clear. But honestly, it's kicked off massively because now we've got the situation where Vinales is suspended and looks to be going to Aprilia early to replace either Aleix Espargaro on the bike or what I've heard is it's Savadori. But now we've got a problem is who's going to replace Vinales on the M1? Well, at Silverstone, it's going to be Cal Crutchlow. That seems to be definite. And then after that, what we understand is that Franco Morbidelli, who's already been signed for 2022, he's going to come over to the team early and partner Fabio Quartararo. So we'll have Morbidelli for the remainder of the season. Right, that locks in Yamaha. But what do you do about the SRT, the Petronas Yamaha Sepang Racing team? Also using M1s, also part of that factory team. You've got Valentino Rossi leaving at the end of the year. That's already been announced. But now you've got Franco Morbidelli with a broken leg. So already, where are you going to go from there? He's been replaced by Kyle Crutchlow, who's now going over to the M1 for the next race. And after that race at Silverstone, you understand Cal's not going to be in any more rides. So who does that leave there? From what I'm hearing, they're going to bring Jake Dixon up from Moto2, from their Petronas team, and pop him there. But then what do you do about the Moto2 team? Well, you bring up John McPhee into that dream Moto2 job he's wanted for ages. Then what do you do with that? You've got Darren Binder down there, sort of circulating nowhere. So Binder now looks like he's moving up straight from Moto3 to MotoGP. Yamaha have got themselves in such a situation now, which I don't know how they're going to solve it. It's so confusing. Listening to the commentary from BT Sport throughout the practice sessions, commentating with Megan on the qualifying sessions as well on FP4, it's very tricky to find out exactly where you're going to go. And if I'm honest with you, Yamaha have segregated Quartararo's side of the garage. They needed to do that. The whole Yamaha situation across MotoGP, Moto2 and Moto3 is in an absolute mess. And because Petronas have pulled out their backing, they look like a laughing stock at the moment. And it is, I think, I can't remember who it was. Kyle Crutchlow, I think it might have been, described the entire situation as, you got Messi leaving Barcelona. Don't know what's going to happen next. So yeah, Yamaha are in a complete and utter mess. Hopefully that couple of minutes of rambling has hopefully sorted it all out for you. But this is going to be a story that's going to run and run and run throughout the entire year.
It's going to be running for an entire year, even into next year. And definitely as people are watching what Quartararo is doing on the track, yeah, they got his side of the garage segregated from everything going on. But definitely it could potentially be a distraction. And if we see any sign of weakness, everyone's going to be talking about that. Now, of course, this weekend, Fabio Quartararo, he's going to be starting second. But he has last week's winner, Martin, on the pole, second race weekend in a row, trying to do 2 in a row. Could he get his first 2 career wins at the same track in 2 consecutive weekends? Overall, we have 4 Ducatis in the top 6. So Quartararo is going to have a handful with those Ducatis and Marc Marquez in the top 6. Marc Marquez is not going to make it easy. In fact, him and Mir got into it during practice over some riding styles that Mir found was a bit too aggressive for a practice session. When it comes to the race tomorrow, can Jorge make it 2 in a row? And how does Quartararo race around all the Ducatis and Marc Marquez, considering he's the points leader?
Well, to start with the first one with Jorge Martin, definitely I think he can do it because he's actually running on 3 in a row at the Red Bull Ring because he won the Moto2 race last year. Now he's won the MotoGP Styrian Grand Prix, and I think he is a very good candidate to win tomorrow. The only difference is Quartararo now starting second, not third. He had Bagnaia alongside him last weekend as well. Ducati have got the whole shot device off the line that me and Megan noticed didn't really work because this time, because it's an uphill start and all the power goes to the rear wheel, the fronts come up on the Ducati at the start. So you've got to minimize the wheelie at the start, which every Ducati suffered with last weekend. So I think Jorge Martin will lose the lead at the start, but because it's such a quick track and Ducatis have got such a great reputation around here, I think Jorge Martin will overtake Quartararo and win the race. That's, I think, what's going to happen. Quartararo racing around with Marc Marquez as well. I think as well, Mark is desperate to break Honda's duck at this track. They have not won. KTM have won. Ducati have won. You just can't catch a break. And Mark is in an unusual situation where, for the first time at the Red Bull Ring, he's racing here 2 weeks in a row because, of course, last year he missed out because he had the broken shoulder. So he's taken a lot more data in this weekend. And I think by qualifying 6th on the grid, he's done amazingly well at a physical track. And I think, yeah, Mark is a possibility for at least a podium tomorrow. But here's my opinion. It'll be Jorge Martin taking the victory. It'll be Quartararo second. And it'll be Marc Marquez in third place as well. But watch out from the other Ducatis. They are going to be strong. They always are here. And that, I think, it will be the surprise. Maybe we could see Zarco come back up to where we was back in Doha.
Yeah, the Ducatis, never count them out in Austria. And tomorrow's race will be a big battle. Be sure to comment, everyone watching, who you think is going to win the race for MotoGP Austrian Grand Prix. Now it's time for a quick World Rally Championship update, as World Rally Championship is at Rally Belgium this weekend. One of the big things with the weekend, only 20 stages this weekend. These are the standings after the stage 14 out of 20. Currently, right now, stage 16 underway. Still, Thierry Neuville looking for his first win of the year and winning his home rally, the Belgian rally, because the Belgian driver wants to go out there, get that win. Breen, Evans, Robin Parrott, and OJ are your top 5 still at the moment. 20 stages, so once we get to the last few stages tomorrow, we will have the recap on Grid Live wrap-up. And, of course, the big question, can Sebastian OJ continue to lead the grid ranking? Second place is Shane Van Gisbergen in the Repco Supercar Series. And of course, definitely when it comes to Supercar Series, Adam, our Supercars expert, I think it's time for everyone's favorite game of the weekend and see who's going to lead. Pick a winner.
That's right, Joe. No one correctly guessed the Formula E race 1 from Berlin. In the standings look as follows. Joe is first. Kobe and I are tied for second. Matt White is fourth. Mitch Steiner is fifth. So on social media, use the hashtag pick a winner. And if your guess is right first time, you get double points. So we got a lot of motorsports action to go to. So we'll start with IndyCars in Nashville happening in just a little while. Ed, I'll start with you. Who takes the checkered flag on the road course at Indianapolis Motor Speedway?
Thank you. I do have a soft spot for IndyCar, believe it or not. I'm not just a Formula E guy. But I would say I think I might go for Alex Palou, who's leading the championship. On the starting grid, he's about 6th or 7th, I think, if I remember right. And I've been really impressed by him this year. I think on the road course layout at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, he's going to make his way to the front and beat the likes of Will Power and Pato O'Ward. Pato O'Ward himself very impressive this season, but I think Palou just that little bit better, and that will make the difference.
At the home of IndyCar, and the home of the captain as well, with Roger Penske, I think it's going to be Will Power to prove to the old man that he can still race and not bang into his other cars as well. Power starts second in the race, and I think he's going to have a very strong strategy around here. He won here at the Harvest Grand Prix last year at the same time, so he's got a fantastic opportunity to make it 2 in a row in terms of times of years with the IMS road course.
I think I gave it away at the beginning of the show, talking about Pato O'Ward and him being on pole today. I think it's going to be very difficult to beat him. I think it's a mistake to overlook him. And I think today he closes the gap a little bit in the championship point standings. I'm going to go with the McLaren driver, Pato O'Ward.
And I'm going to go with the driver who looked really well last time out at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course, but came up short to Rinus VeeKay. I think today we're going to see the ex-Formula One driver Roman Grosjean win for the first time in the NTT IndyCar Series.
Those are all good picks. but I'm going to go with surprise winner. How about his first time in an IndyCar? I'm going with Christian Lundgaard. Yes, the Formula 2 driver has impressed a lot of people this weekend at the road course at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So I'm going Christian Lundgaard as my pick a winner for the IndyCar race at IMS.
For the IndyCar race, I'm going to go with Pato O'Ward starting up front. He is determined to get that win, close up to Alex Palou for that championship.
And now it's time that we head to MotoGP at the Austrian Grand Prix. Josh, I'll start with you. Who takes the checkered flag tomorrow morning at the Red Bull Ring?
Jorge Martin has a strange relationship with this track. He's won here in Moto 2. He's now winning in MotoGP as well. He's taken pole position with the fastest ever lap around this circuit. He beat Quartararo's own fastest lap that he did twice as well in the dying moments of qualifying. So yeah, Jorge Martin, absolutely my pick to win tomorrow's race. I mean, after last weekend, anything can happen, but surely he's got to have something here.
Well, I'm hardly a MotoGP expert here on this program, so I think just to be a little bit different, I'm going to go with Quartararo, and I'm sure it's going to be a battle between the two of them, but we'll see what happens. I picked Quartararo a couple times this year, and he hasn't let me down yet, so we'll see.
And I'm going to go with the rookie sensation starting up front once again, Jorge Martin. I think he's going to get the job done and go for 2 in a row. I think this kid has a really, really bright future in MotoGP competition.
I'll make it. I'm going to say Jorge Martin finds a way to win the MotoGP race at the Red Bull Ring in Austria.
For Austria, I'm going to go with a Ducati rider, but I'm going to go with a surprise pick. I'm going with Jack Miller. We know he was so close to that win last time in Austria last year when he lost on the last lap and Miguel Oliveira got around on the last lap, last car. So that's why I'm going with Jack Miller.
And now it's time for Formula E Race 2 in a reverse course in Berlin, Germany. Ed, I'll start with you. Who finds a way to take the checkered flag in Germany?
Well, I'll go one better. I won't just predict the winner, which probably wrongly, but I will also try and predict the who's going to leave Berlin with the championship at the end of race 2, which of course the last race of the season, so title has to be decided because it hasn't been decided already at this point. So I think who's going to win? Could be a lot of people, to be honest. I think the Jaguars were incredibly quick. We already saw how quick the Aubis were in the race there. The Cheetahs got pole last time. I actually think I might just go for, we were talking about Sam Bird earlier. I think he might be able to hook it up altogether, although I also think Nick Cassidy will be very strong. We didn't quite see the best of him in race 1. So I'm sort of torn between Bird and Cassidy. I think Bird might just have the edge in terms of the race win. In terms of the championship, I think I haven't been too impressed by Mercedes this season. So I don't think Nick DeVries is going to walk away. But I think that Jake Dennis might just be able to score enough, outscore Mortara and DeVries, and leapfrog into the lead and become a rookie champion, which it's a big ask, but I think Dennis has continued to impress as the season's gone on, and I think he can do it.
I've got a very good feeling about Antonio Felix da Costa to win the race tomorrow. He was second on the grid today after getting out of Q1 as well. So if he can avoid the drama that is the first session and did what he do again, I definitely think da Costa can win the race tomorrow for Diaz Cheetah as well. And in fact, I'll go so far as to agree with it by putting up a little Hot Wheels car I got the other day. So yeah, definitely a Diaz Cheetah fan. In terms of the championship, it's hard to look away from Jake Dennis. He has been consistent, had a very poor start. No points in the first 4 races, but came up again. Fantastic in Valencia. Won Valencia 2 as well after pole position. No points in Monaco, 10 points each in Pueblo, adding up to 20, then a win in London as well. He's been consistent there enough. So I think Jake Dennis for BMW in the last race will win the title.
Yeah, I wish I had like just a hat full of names on little pieces of paper to try to pull out because, you know, you might as well with the way Formula E's been going this season. But there's just something about Nick DeVries that is making me think that, this might be his year. I know Mercedes are only, I think, 5th in the team's championship right now, but the team's championship is equally as close as the driver's championship. So I'm going to go with De Vries to not only win the race today, but also take home the Formula E World Championship.
And I'm going to roll with Josh and Ed on this one. I think Jake Dennis is going to win the race and the championship. And that was just to be the cherry on top for him, since Andretti recently rewarded him with a brand new contract.
Those are all good picks. I'm going to say Antonio Felix Costa wins the race and for the championship. I'll go along with the gang. I'll say Jake Dennis finds a way to claim the FIA Formula E World Championship.
I'm going to go with Rene Rast winning the race. He's going to be in Group 2. I think he's going to have a good starting position. And for that World Championship, considering the performance today, considering my pick is Rene Rast, I'm going to go with Lucas Di Grassi being the surprise champion for Formula E tomorrow.
And now, one more pick, and that is the NASCAR Verizon 200 at the IMS Road Course. Josh, start with you. Who kisses the bricks and takes the checkered flag?
I think after leading the most laps at the Glen, Martin Truex Jr. could finally do with some good luck and take a victory once again. Kyle Larson won last time out, but definitely after the most laps of that fantastic race at the Glen, Martin Truex Jr. deserves it. And he's good around the road course as well. In the practice, he was good as well. So, yeah, I'm going for him.
Well, now that Chase Elliott's going to have a warm-up with the Xfinity race today, something a little bit unexpected until just a couple of hours ago, I think that only strengthens his case to gain a little bit of experience today for the race tomorrow. So I think not only could Chase Elliott be a surprise winner today, I know we've got lots of strong drivers in the Xfinity field like Allmendinger, Cindric, and Ty Gibbs, but it's hard for me to pick against Chase Elliott tomorrow at the IMS road course.
And I'm actually going to be going with a true surprise winner. I'm going to go with a driver who hasn't even won a NASCAR Cup Series race yet. A driver who won the Xfinity race last year. I think we're going to see the Indiana native himself, Chase Briscoe, get his first career NASCAR Cup Series victory. And here's a fun fact. All 3 of Chase Briscoe's top 10s this year have been on road courses.
Those are all good picks. I'm gonna say Kyle Larson finds a way he kisses the bricks and wins the Verizon 200 at the IMS road course tomorrow.
And for my NASCAR Cup Series pick, I think it's going to be no surprise to our regular viewers. I'm going with Kyle Larson. I think he's going to get that win. And definitely encourage everyone to comment with who you think is going to win. And a big special thank you to Edward Hunter from Formula E Zone for joining us on the program, as well as Ben Schneider, Adam Lemrys, Joshua Bird, and Kobe Lambeth from the Podium Finish. We're just about out of time. We encourage everyone to subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as Ben, Josh, and Formula E Zone on YouTube. Links to their channels on the video description, and follow us on TikTok. And of course, if you really enjoy what we do, be sure to invest with us by clicking on our Patreon link, join Colin, Mark, and the show, and investing in the Grid Network. Help us continue to grow the Grid Network right here on YouTube and all our social media presence. And of course, public.com, get $5 of free stock. Definitely encourage everyone to check it out. Stock market, social media, homepage, start investing in the stock market. And definitely want to thank everyone for watching today's program of Grid Live pre-race. Tomorrow, Grid Live wrap-up will be on the air on YouTube. For everyone here on the program, I'm Joe San Diego. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Don't be an anonymous investor. Join the stock market social media platform, public.com. Invest any amount of money and share with friends and new friends. Discover new opportunities, such as new companies and potential business partners, and useful tools for beginners, and share your experience with friends on public.com. Link in the video description gets you $5 for being a Grid Network viewer. Use the referral code GRIDnet for your free $5 to invest. Start investing and networking on public.com.